ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app has an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. Ex-militants who were part of the third phase of the presidential amnesty program barricaded the Mbia axis of the east-west road in Bayelsa State today, causing a gridlock that lasted for over 2 hours. They're demanding the immediate sack of Professor Charles Dokubo, who is the special advisor to the president on Niger Delta affairs and coordinator of the presidential amnesty program. They have also issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government. Employees, students, traders, travelers and even tanker drivers stopped their regular activities to watch the ex-militant chant songs and call for the removal of the amnesty boss. The ex-militants also complained about the non-payment of their monthly stipend by the federal government. Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Ibrahim Adra. Hey, Ibrahim.
Hi, Ijoma. Now, a magistrate court sitting in Abuja has struck out a suit against journalist John Sabiri for lack of jurisdiction. This follows an application brought by Mr. Abiri's lawyer Samuel Ogala, seeking the transfer of Mr. Abiri's trial to Bayelsa State, since that was where he was arrested. The federal government had arraigned him before a magistrate court in Abuja over allegations that he has links to armed militants in the Niger Delta. Before the arraignment, he was detained by the Department of State Services for 2 years without trial. He was granted bail after he was charged to court following public outcry. Mr. Abiri, publisher and editor-in-chief of Weekly Source newspaper, was released on August 15 after meeting his bail conditions. The presiding magistrate describes the detention of the journalist as a criminal intimidation. Now, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdul Kafarati, has stopped judges from issuing ex parte orders in respect of political cases as a way of ending controversies in election matters. Justice Abdul Kafarati disclosed this at a special court session to mark the commencement of the Federal High Court legal year 2018-2019. Justice Kafarati also directed judges who have political cases pending before their courts to conclude the cases before the end of October 2018. This move, according to the Chief Judge, will reduce the controversy surrounding political cases if the court waits until it hears all parties before issuing any order. Our correspondent Amaka Okafo has that report.
After 2 months of recess, the Federal High Court has commenced the 2018-2019 legal year with a special court session. At the special court session are members of the bar and the bench. In his address, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court warns that it will no longer be business as usual in the handling of political cases because the court will no longer issue ex parte orders.
The attempt to forestall any hiccups and the blame on the court by political gladiators, I have during this vacation issued a circular that interim orders ex parte shall not be granted in any political cases brought before the court. I believe that controversies, especially in the political cases, can be reduced when the court takes a decision after hearing all the parties in the case.
The Nigerian Bar Association, however, wants respect for the rule of law, and its president, Mr. Paul Osoro, did not mince words to pass the message across.
The courts occupy a prime position in maintaining that defensive and protective bulwark against the degradation of the rule of law. And of course, for the avoidance of doubts, we must most humbly and respectfully mention here that the rule of law is that superstructure from which all other policies, governance principles, positions and rights take their compass and direction. The converse of the rule of law is anarchy. Little wonder then that the Nigerian Bar Association is wedded to the promotion and protection of the rule of law.
In the last legal year, the court recorded 116,842 cases, including old and new cases, out of which 16,076 cases were disposed of. It is, however, commencing the new legal year with a total of 199 cases, but it is hoped that with the appointment of new judges, the wheel of justice will move faster. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced that voters will not be allowed to go inside polling booths with their phones, cameras and any other device that can record images. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu disclosed this in Oshogbo at a meeting with security officials, political party officials and other stakeholders ahead of Saturday's governorship election. Professor Yakubu also promised to technically end vote buying by politicians and also call on the media to be balanced in their reportage during the election.
The Osun State governorship election 2018 will be another good example of free, fair, credible and peaceful election, as well as a further affirmation of the maturity of our democracy. Any credible election must be inclusive and participatory. It is always about the people, but in order to participate in the process, citizens must have their voters' cards. In 2015, the Commission has made the possession of the permanent voters' card a mandatory requirement for voting in Nigeria. I am very happy indeed, that over 90% of the registered voters in Osun State have collected their PVCs. The Commission's attention was drawn to the use of smart mobile phones by some voters to take pictures of their marked ballot papers in the voting cubicles and later present it to the vote buyers as evidence for payment. The suggestion came from one of the stakeholder meetings we've had here in Osun State. For this reason, we have introduced a number of platforms through which we can be reached real time, including a toll-free INEC Citizens Contact Center telephone line, in addition to our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts. Therefore, it is counterproductive for the Commission to introduce a blanket ban on the use of mobile phones or other photographic devices at polling units on election day. What we have done is to exclude the use of such devices by accredited voters from the time they collect their ballot papers, mark them in the voting cubicles, and drop them into the ballot box.
And that's all from Abuja. Let's rejoin Ijoma in our Lagos studio for more on the news at 10. Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Ibrahim. President Muhammadu Buhari has given the assurance that he'll ensure equitable distribution of appointments among the 36 states of the Federation. The president spoke during an interaction with a delegation of Akwa Ibom indigents who paid him a visit at the State House in Abuja. He also promised more infrastructure projects in Akwa Ibom State and the southern parts of the country.
An array of leaders and elders of Akwa Ibom State on a visit to President Muhammadu Buhari. Among them, serving and former ministers, special advisors and political bigwigs. Leading the large delegation is a former governor and minority leader in the Nigerian Senate, who recently defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress. He expresses satisfaction with the leadership style of the president, assuring him that Akwa Ibom will give him and all APC candidates landslide victories in the 2019 elections.
It's important for Nigerians to know that every other thing we are doing now is that we are just waiting for the victory dance, because APC is carrying the day. Come February, and then of course in March. So, sir, the first state in the south of Nigeria that you are going to win is Akwa Ibom State. I can say that.
The group thanked the president for appointing sons and daughters of the state to key positions.
Akwa Ibom State is now known as APC State. And there is nobody left. There is no leader left
There is no politician left in Akwa Ibom State that propagates any other ideology but APC ideology and Buhari for 2019.
When the president rose to speak, he listed various infrastructure projects his government is executing with a promise for more.
To complete the Cross River Akwa Ibom Abia State axis of the road, I have directed the Federal Ministry of Works, Power and Housing and the Ministry of Budget and National Planning to provide in the 2019 budget the dualization of Ekot-Opene Aba axis.
He also has a message regarding appointment into his government.
I have taken note of your appreciation of the appointments into the federal service from your state, and I assure you that I shall continue to be fair and equitable in federal appointments to all states of the country.
This visit is coming less than a week after a similar delegation from Abia and the people of Ogoni in River State visited the president, expressing support for his 2019 ambition.
When the news at 10 returns, Central Bank of Nigeria announces 10,000 naira fine for banks that fail to reverse failed electronic transactions within 24 hours. That's on Business News. Just stay with us.